Ladies and gentlemen, the co-founder and CEO of MakerBot Industries, Bre Pettis.
Cool, this thing's on. I'm Bre Pettis, and let's see, there we go. I am CEO of MakerBot. To give you, kind of cut to the chase to make sure I address the things that you're here for. We started MakerBot in 2009. We've been tinkering for a little while. We wanted what's called a 3D printer. But back then, before we got started, a 3D printer cost $100,000 to $1.5 million. We wanted one, we couldn't afford one, so we made our own. When it almost worked, we quit our jobs and we started a company to give everybody access to the means of production. So in the past, these had been made, these were just machines that were in elite institutions or design or in big manufacturing type situations. Nobody could get access to them unless, like you snuck in on the weekend. And we kind of blew it up by coming out with one that you can now buy for $2,000. So that might seem expensive, but when you look at it's 2% of the cost with 95% of the functionality, you start to think, okay, this gets interesting. So in terms of the impact it can have on we're literally talking about giving people the opportunity to innovate in a much broader sense, in terms of different, economic status. If, you're talking about poor people, I'm talking about, I want to get everybody access to the means of production, so that when we're so used to consumerism that when we grow up, we think, okay, I want something. We think about, okay, where are we going to buy it? The disruption that MakerBot brings to the marketplace is, instead of having to choose between things that are manufactured in the hundreds of thousands and then shipped on a boat and put on a truck and kept warm in a store for you to go and drive a car to it and buy it, you can just either download the design or design it yourself and make it in your living room. So I say these things, and right now your mind should just be going like, what could I make with it? What kind of things could I do with it? How could I change the world? If I had an idea for something better than what I have, or if I have an idea, let's say I need a water pump. Maybe you need a water pump for your basement because sometimes it floods, or maybe you need a water pump because there's a well and it doesn't pull water up unless you make a water pump to drink water. Either of those situations, you can still use a MakerBot to get what you need. So I want to get that kind of out as like the basis, and now I'm going to talk about art. So this is the normal experience for what it's like when you're at a museum. You go there, you look at stuff, you go ooh, ah, and you go home. If you're an artist, you might go to a museum and be inspired, and you might draw something for inspiration. You might even, if they allowed pictures, photography, you might take a bunch of photos so you could go and use it as reference subject material for your art. And we decided to do something a little bit different. We'd originally thought we were going to go to the Met and just create a heist and literally scan everything and steal all the digital designs and publish them, until we talked to the Met and we found out that they had the same, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, just right over there. They had the same motivation as us, to share the greatest artwork of mankind with as many people as possible. So we ended up going, and in collaboration, we took a bunch of photos of different pieces of art. And the way this works, and we used an application called 123D Catch. And the way this works is you take about 50 photos of a sculpture, or really anything. You can take a photo of do this with your sneakers, do this with, it'd have to be something still, so if you have a baby when they're sleeping, you could do this. Or maybe when your cat is sprawled out, you could do this. Or maybe you have a special object, or your parents have a special object that they've had for their whole life, and you can just make a copy of it. So what you do is you literally walk around it, and you could just take a lot of pictures, either with your mobile phone or a camera or your iPad or whatever, and then you upload it to a site where it uses a technology called photogrammetry to take all those pictures and make a 3D model. So this is Marsyas. It's a Greek dude who thought he could challenge Apollo to a music contest. And it's kind of a theme that you don't want to mortals, you just don't want to challenge the gods to contests, because even if you win, they're going to get you in the end. So this is he wins the contest but ends up losing his life, and this is his moment where he's like, no! And this is old art, and this is basically like pre-movies. People would look at this and be like, oh yeah, he got too bad for him. So this is a moment in kind of ancient storytelling history that's been remade, and then to be new and exciting when it came out, and now it's classic. So I thought this was pretty cool. So we took a bunch of pictures of it, digitized it, and then here's the 3D model we have a site called Thingiverse where people share their digital designs. So if you innovate and you create a digital design, you can share it there. If it's artistic, great. If you make a new water pump or literally a better mousetrap, you can upload it there as well. And that way, when somebody needs a model of Marsyas or they need a better mousetrap, instead of designing it from scratch, they can either just use yours or take yours and build on it, make derivatives. So once you have the model, you've got it in your computer, and then you send it to the MakerBot. And the way it works, this is sped up. This takes about an hour, but I've sped it up here. You can see it's building it up layer by layer. And I've actually got the model here, and we can pass this around and just make sure that gets to me at the end, and we're all good to go. So this is actually what you just saw. I'm showing you and we made this morning because we thought, oh yeah, we should actually show it actually being made. So we just made this morning, and here it is right now. So this is Leda and the Swan, which is another classic, or was Leda and the Swan until an artist called who's named Jonathan Monahan, took Marsyas and put it in the place where the swan's head was. So this is and then creating a new sculpture. And what you get is this like, no, kind of like pain, frustration, anger. And then you have Leda, who's just in love. And you see that when there's anger and there's love just like, somebody who's angry, who's staring at who's trying to be angry when somebody's just looking at them full of love, just has no foot to stand on. So this brings this art and gives you this whole new experience when it's remixed. And you can download it and make this you can download this from Thingiverse and make this on your MakerBot as well. So then, of course, because the community that we are a part of and contribute to in this culture of sharing, people took this head and put on all sorts of things. This is a Marsyasta. So it's a model of a gangsta in a hoodie with Marsyas' head on it. So you can go straight from the sort of deep artistic, like Leda's and the Swan with Marsyas, to the just absurd and playful and fun. All welcome, all interesting. When you think about this as an artistic innovation, you can start to see how you would apply this to other things. When people upload, for my example of a water pump, that water pump can be improved by other people because we're sharing it. We're using open licenses that allow people to change it. We're creating a culture where innovation isn't about mine. It's about contributing to something. So that if you make a cool water pump, I can make an improvement and then stand on your shoulders, and you can be like, nice, but I'd like to see it bigger or different or for a deeper well. And you can improve on what I improved, and then you're standing on top of my shoulders, standing on top of your shoulders, and we've got this like innovation standing on shoulders Mobius strip, which gets exciting. So then it gets interesting because one of the hardest things about this is, having a MakerBot means you can literally make anything. The limitation is what you can imagine. So when you can make anything, it's actually pretty stunning. Like literally people come up against a wall of like, whoa, if I can make anything, I don't know what I would make. So we created Thingiverse so that people could share what they make and get inspiration. So you could go like, oh yeah, I like that, but I want it like this. And you can bounce off each other. And sharing innovation means that more inspiration happens, which means more innovation happens. And because we make a machine that's inexpensive, and we don't screw you on the materials like 2D printer cartridges, we make it cheap so that the cost of failure is low. And when the cost of failure is low, you can do it again and again. And then we're back to the idea of the innovation machine, being able to build on each other and just go forward, build on, and it gets exciting. Interesting things start happening. So I would invite you, if you don't have a MakerBot, to get one. If you haven't tuned into thingiverse.com, go check it out. It is a place where innovation just is, in the Thingiverse, the universe of things, the atmosphere is like innovation. You breathe it in and you make things. So if this is interesting, go ahead, take it back to your people. Be like, my mind was blown. This is an innovation machine. We have to get one and try this out to have this experience. And if you're excited about, if you want to encourage other people to be more innovative, I would say get it for somebody else. If you have a kid, it would make me really happy to have you have one so that the next generation can grow up thinking about making things and innovating the future and solving the problems of the next generation. That can only happen if we get them at an early age, knowing that they can solve problems through making things. So there you go. And I'm at 0, so thank you very much. Oh, I didn't get to show you this. I'm just going to take a second. This is something we just finished today, so I had to bring. So when we were at the Met, there's an artist whose username on Thingiverse is Pretty Small Things, and she's a scenic designer. She actually designs set designs and then makes them on her MakerBot and then creates the actual set designs. But she does all her planning on a MakerBot. When we were at the Met, she got talking to the armorers. There's actually an armory in the bottom of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And they were like, we like you. Let me show you something really cool. And they took her down and showed her something that isn't on display. And she used the scanning technique to scan it and then share it. And this is from the 1400s. It's an Italian helmet. And we made it. This is a little bit smaller. This is as big as you can make things on a MakerBot replicator. Make things up to about the size of a loaf of bread. But so we scaled it down a little bit to fit on the machine. But it turns out I have a 1-year-old baby. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'm Bre on Twitter. Tonight you'll see me post photos of my baby in a helmet from the 1400s, which is just cool. So this happened today, so I had to bring it. Thank you very much.